Back in 2001, a woman was allegedly abducted by aliens on a remote property in Gundiah, Queensland, which is not far from where I used to live in Maryborough, Queensland. And I was only just 17 at the time when this happened. This is the story about the Amy Rylance abduction and disappearance. Hello and welcome back, or welcome to my channel. If you don't know what's going on here, well, I'm certainly not going to tell you that aliens do not exist and that religion is the only thing that you should be believing in. But I am a horror artist and I like to draw what I talk about in these videos. I like scary facts, true crimes, anything to do with the paranormal, aliens, conspiracies, and I like to draw, so I like to combine all of that into these videos to hopefully bring you a unique experience. Now, if you want to support me, head across the Redbubble. I've got prints, shirts, stickers, all sorts of good shit on there, and I also have an Etsy store where I make felt toy patterns. So if you are a creative person, download a pattern and create a toy from felt. I have horror movie characters on there. I've got my own designs. Check it out. Head across there. Now, with that being said, let's get on with the video and let's get on with the drawing. On the 4th of October 2001, a 22-year-old woman named Amy Rylance fell asleep on the couch watching TV in a caravan annex on a property in Gundiah, Queensland, while her husband, Keith Rylance, 39 years old, and business partner and best friend, Petra Heller, 35 years old, were asleep in other rooms. 3 hours later, Amy turned up 760 kilometres away in Mackay, Queensland, which would have taken 8.5 hours to drive to. It all started on a property in Gundiah, Queensland, which was in development. This was the Rylance property, which was eventually going to be called the Whispering Winds Winery. Amy and Keith had a temporary home, a caravan annex, which they were living in until they could get their home built. Around 9:30 p.m, Keith went to bed in the main caravan annex bedroom, while Petra was in another room and Amy remained on the couch in the annex lounge room watching TV and listening to the storm raging outside. Eventually, Amy fell asleep on the lounge. Around 11 p.m, Petra gets up and heads to the lounge room where she sees Amy floating in a rectangular beam of light in the living room, still asleep. Petra could not comprehend what she was seeing. She also saw several items from the lounge room coffee table floating in the light with Amy. Petra then followed the beam of light with Amy in it out the window outside the caravan annex area and saw a disc-shaped object hovering at the tree height just a little way in the distance. This is when Petra lost all consciousness and collapsed on the floor from overwhelming fear. Petra was only allegedly out for a few minutes when she woke up and screamed out for Keith as Amy was gone. Keith awoke and met Petra in the lounge room, where Petra tried to tell him what she saw in an anxious panic. After Keith took in and processed what Petra had told him, he walked around and saw the screen of the lounge room window had a tear in it and all the coffee table contents was on the floor. Keith searched outside all over the property for Amy, but she was nowhere in sight. Both Petra and Keith didn't want to believe it, but they came to the unbelievable conclusion that Amy was abducted by aliens. By this time, it was 11:40 p.m. and Keith could not find Amy, so he rang the Tyro Police Department. Just after 1 a.m, Constable Robert Maragna from Tyro Police Station arrived at the Rylance's property with another police officer, and Keith and Petra told them everything. The police didn't seem to take it seriously and were expecting to find a murder scene. Another police officer from Maryborough, Sergeant John Bosjak, came out to the property and all three officers did their search. They found the screen torn on the window and a flowering bush just under the window that had extensive heat damage.
While the police were searching the property, the phone in the caravan annex rang. It was a woman from Mackay, which was nearly 760 kilometres away, claiming to have stumbled across Amy, dehydrated, disorientated, at a BP servo and was taken to Mackay Hospital. The police officers walked back to the annex, where Keith put Constable Robert Marengna on, in which he spoke to the woman in Mackay. This case now would link the Mackay police with the Gundiah, Tyro and Maryborough police. Keith could not fathom how Amy made it to Mackay in such a short amount of time. Amy underwent a medical assessment in the Mackay Hospital and was also questioned by the police in Mackay. After what Amy told them, this case would make it onto one of the most compelling cases list. Amy recalls falling asleep on the couch, then waking up on a bench in a rectangular room that was heavily lit by light. She couldn't see anyone, but a male voice told her that she was all right and was not going to be harmed in any way. An opening appeared in the wall and a slender 6-foot male walked through with a bodysuit on and a black mask with only holes where his eyes, nose and mouth were. He calmed Amy down and then told her that he was going to return her not far from where they picked her up because he couldn't take her back to her home due to the lights not being right, which could have referred to the police being there with their torches and police car lights. Amy recalls laying back on the bench and falling back asleep. When she came to again, she was on the cold ground with trees all around her with the smell of ocean in the air. Absolutely confused, Amy picked herself up and walked through a lot of bushland covered in mud until she could see lights from the BP servo where she was attended to by the staff. There, she was given water and met the woman and her friend that ended up taking her to hospital. Amy couldn't remember her name or where she was from at first, but after a while it came to her and she remembered her phone number as well, so she ended up giving it to the women. Amy told police that nothing like this had ever happened before, but she did see a UFO with smaller UFOs floating around it in the sky when she was a young child. The hospital staff also made a note that Amy had 3 dots in a triangle formation on her inner right thigh and on both heels. Also, Amy's hair had grown out significantly with a fair amount of regrowth from her usual blonde hair, and apparently she'd only just dyed her hair. Her dark roots were exposed a lot, which was not the case 24 hours prior. Also, the hairs on Amy's legs looked like she hadn't shaved for several days, but she shaved regularly and she appeared to have not eaten for days, which was not correct. Wherever Amy was for 3 hours, time must have moved differently there, as Amy swears she felt like she had been gone for days. When she was medically cleared, the police put Amy into a hotel while Keith and Petra made the long drive to Mackay to get her. Once they got to Amy in the hotel, they all sat down and went over everything.
I have a new sponsor today and they are called Tropika, and they make premium organic products such as a world first beauty custard. This stuff is amazing. Now, I have been using Tropika for the last 6 months and I love their products. This is the beauty custard. It's full of collagen, full of organic ingredients. It's 100% natural, and this is the banana flavor. This is the salted caramel flavor. This is amazing. They're both amazing. And the other product that I absolutely love from them is the chai latte. Now this, if you're a chai latte fan, this tastes so much cleaner than getting one from a cafe. So you make this with your own sort of milk that you want to use in it. My God, it is amazing. So they're gluten-free, they're dairy-free, they're perfect for vegans if you are a vegan. No GMO whatsoever in their products. And the Beauty Custard is a completely guilt-free dessert that you can have after tea. You can have it anytime you want. I absolutely love it because I'm on a keto sort of carnivore diet, and introducing this into my diet was the best thing because it's so good on the gut and it's just overall healthy and good ingredients. Now, if you want to learn more about them, I've got a link down below. Click on the link in the description and it will take you to the Tropeaka website, and you will get a prompt to sign up and get 15% off your first order. No artificial additives. It has environmentally friendly packaging. They have quick delivery and free delivery for anyone in Australia that orders over $85 worth of products. And you also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you don't end up liking the product, send it back, get a full refund. So head across to Tropeaka today and start your health journey.
They got onto the internet and researched aliens and found Diane Harrison from the Australian UFO Research Network and contacted her on the 5th of October 2001, not even one day after the incident. Diane got a fellow researcher involved named Bill Chalker, as he was renowned for his extensive research in these kinds of cases. After they both talked to the trio, Keith wanted to go public with the case, but was advised not to by Bill and Diane, but Keith wanted full control of every aspect of the case, and he ended up going to the media about it. On the 9th of October 2001, Diane and Bill visited the Rylance's property and the Mackay location to examine the sites. This is where the case takes a little interesting turn. While Diane and Bill stayed overnight at the caravan annex at the Rylance property while the trio was still in Mackay, they both observed the Rylance's pet dog, which was a Kelpie. Kelpies are known for being a workhorse with unlimited energy to round up livestock. They witnessed the Kelpie on several occasions jumping up at the window where Amy was allegedly floated out of. This may have been the reason for the window being damaged. After both Diane and Bill spoke to the police officers that attended the site believed it was all an elaborate hoax. Then Diane and Bill travelled to Mackay to meet with the trio, but by the time they got to the hotel where they were staying, they had checked out and disappeared with all calls going unanswered. But eventually Keith phoned Diane and Bill 10 days later to apologise and told them that they got a visit from the men in black. They were allegedly chased down and nearly rammed off the road by the men in black in a large brown 4x4 after they had been followed for a few days prior. Keith would not disclose their new location because they were all afraid of the men in black. To this day, Keith, Amy and Petra have completely disappeared and no one knows where they are, but there is a rumour going around that they all moved to the north of England just after the event. The case is also still officially open. Some theories suggest that the trio were on drugs, which allowed them to come up with the far-out idea as they hallucinated, and another theory is that Amy was sighted in Mackay before the incident happened, so she was already there, and it could have been just one big planned hoax. Some of the police involved did not take the case seriously at all. They could have been doing this hoax to bring business to their developing winery that they were going to create together to bring some UFO hunters and business to the location to generate income from a UFO abduction. There are apparently 9 police reports and documentations that will not be released due to details that cannot be released to the public. So, what is in those documents. If you watch the news report on this interview, one of the police officers is laughing at the case and couldn't contain himself and even asked one of the ladies to turn around and stop looking at him so he could stop laughing. A little disgraceful, regardless of which way this case went. It's a little weird that the two of them, Keith and Petra, being in their late 30s and Amy only being 22, all hanging out and living together like they did. It's not impossible, but it's just a little weird. Too many suspicious variables are here, but how do you explain the distance travelled in a small amount of time? I would say that Amy was already in Mackay. Why did they contact Diane the very next day with their experience? It's like they knew who to contact straight away because of research done prior. Petra was never interviewed by Diane and Bill because she was apparently sleeping at the time, which also doesn't make sense because she was the only main person to see Amy taken by the light. A few other things in the case were that apparently there was a phone call in the records to the home phone from a number in Rockhampton the day before Amy supposedly got abducted. Was Amy ringing their Gundiah home to touch base with Keith as she made her way up to Mackay? Was the dates and times in the story fabricated? Was Amy even in on it? Maybe she was roofied and taken up there by Keith and Petra to stage a more realistic reaction from Amy. Who really knows? Police apparently obtained a notebook from Petra that talked about Thetan, which is linked to Scientology, and calling their winery the Whispering Winds is a reference to where Ron L. Hubbard, the leader of Scientology, spent his last days before he died. Was it all linked to that heinous religion? Was it a murder plot gone wrong? Was Keith and Petra in love and decided to try and do away with Amy? The property in Gundiah has apparently been unoccupied since that 2001 event. What do you think about this case? Do you think it was all a hoax that went terribly wrong and that resulted in them hanging their heads in shame and relocating? Or do you think it was all real and they were visited by the men in black and threatened into seclusion and secrecy? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I am not sure about this case, but I am definitely leaning more towards a hoax gone wrong than it being true. Now, the illustration that I decided to do for this video today was basically replicating a woman, basically Amy in the story, being abducted and being on a bench in a room, but I just made the room black. I decided to color in the background to make the characters pop. And yeah, there's two aliens in the background and the woman sitting on the table being experimented on, and she's hooked up to all these gadgets. And yeah, that's basically the image that I got generated from this story. But anyway, that is it from me. Hopefully you will like this video today, and if you did, like, subscribe, dislike it. I couldn't give two shits what you do, because any interaction that you give me goes towards the algorithm for other people to find me, and hopefully you watch whatever is left of this video to see how the illustration turned out, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.